Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for this podcast. My latest guest is an Italian-American producer, Matt Cimber. He's also a director and a writer as well. He's known for directing genre films like the Candy Tangerine Man. He also directed Jayne Mansfield in the stage production of Bus Stop. They got married later, and he did Jayne's last movie called Room Furnished. I am in shock and honored that he accepted my invitation for this interview. We had a conversation about his life, his marriage to Jayne Mansfield, and about his career. Stay tuned.
He's going to ask you questions. So here's Matt.
Yeah. So this is Matt Cimber.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Well, I've been better.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I don't know if my wife told you, but I'm 91 years old, and I've had cancer.
Oh. I'm really sorry to hear that. A bit better now, or how do you do?
Well, I'll find out tomorrow or the day after. I'm going into LA tomorrow.
For medical.
And to UCLA. That's my doctor. And they do little tests every so often, you know.
Make sure it doesn't come back.
Hello?
Yeah, I hope everything will be okay regarding your health.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope so too.
Awesome. Can we start the questions? I have five questions for you. Please tell a bit us about yourself and the beginning of your career. How did you start your career as a filmmaker, as a producer in Hollywood?
Well, I did a play in New York. I did 8 of them, as a matter of fact. And 4 of them were on Broadway. And I felt very good at it, and I met Jayne Mansfield. And Jayne Mansfield invited me, after working with her on the play in New York. She did it on Broadway. He invited me to come to California.
He directed her in Bus Stop by William Inge.
I directed her in Bus Stop.
Yeah, I know.
And it went well, and then we ended up getting married. And she said, you know, you're such a good director, why don't you try for movie?
I see.
Well, I'll give it a try. And I started out, I made a few crummy films, and I just got into the feeling of it, and I liked it very much. I had very good friends. I became good friends with Mario Puzo, and I started taking lessons from a lady on Broadway who was sensational. She was Russian, and she had been a leading lady in the Moscow Arts Theater. And I started working on that. And it helped me a great deal.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah.
He trained with this lady when he was still doing theater. And she taught at Carnegie Hall. And she was from Russia. And so a lot of the New York actors and playwrights and directors studied with her. And Matt was invited into her class. And it was after, and he was also in the Actors Studio, which is where he was good friends with Elia Kazan and William Inge. And it was William Inge who put him up for the director position with Jayne Mansfield in Bus Stop. And then when he went with her to Hollywood, she was signed to the Fox Studios, and that was where he got his training in film making, was at Fox. And then he went out, after he got his divorce from Jayne, he went out, because he had a 2-year-old son to raise on his own. Because Jayne had died while they were getting a divorce. Yes. So that's how he got into the independent filmmaking that he was doing, because he had to make money. So he became a master at making movies fast and on low budgets. And he sort of blazed a trail in indie film back in the 60s.
Yeah, I see.
And, of course, I got lucky on a couple of films. What's the first one?
Well, are you talk about your blaxploitation films, or are you going back to, like, which your favorite to see?
No. I got really lucky on a film called Hundra, which was about a female warrior. I shot it in Spain, and we took it to
Cannes? The film market?
I took it to Cannes, and in Cannes it sold really well. And I just went from place to place. I ended up making films in 44, 45 different countries, all American films. And that was the start of it. I did another film. I did 2 films in China. I did 1 film in, actually I did 3 films in Spain, and they were all really American films. So, it was that time of the history of Hollywood where everybody was running to Europe to make their films. And so I got to make a couple of really kind of fun films. And it just took off, and it did very well. If you look at my history of films, a lot of them got smashed by a lot of the critics. But that was the way they went in those days. If you didn't spend the money in a studio, then you were just slowly, it only came a little later that the independent films started working. I made black films.
That was earlier. Andra and your Spain films were later in the late 70s to the 80s, but the black films were the early 70s. And he has a huge cult following with those black films, especially Candy Tangerine Man.
I see.
Yeah, I made a lot of friends with the black films, but and they appreciated it, except eventually I came to my office up on Sunset Boulevard, and there was a throng of young black filmmakers sitting on the steps to my office, and they were there to tell me that they would like me to stop making black movies since I'm a white person.
It muscled him a bit.
And I did. And The Black Six was the first film I used 6 black football players for the lid. And don't you think one of the major distributors picked it up and put it on Broadway? And it opened on Broadway, and I'll never forget the distributor brought me to New York to look. I mean, we were playing on 45th Street and Broadway at that big theater, and it was raining at night, and every theater had, they had every major star in movies. Broadway was the place that time. And I stood on a rooftop and I watched. And I have to tell you, it was one of the great thrills of my life to see the crowd waiting to go into the theater extended from the box office around the corner on 44th Street in one of it was the Layers Theater, I think. And it was incredible. And the picture did huge business throughout the country. And that's, what else could I tell you?
One of his films, Candy Tangerine Man, was on one of the charts that Variety used to publish all the time in the 70s as one of the top 100 films made for less than one of the top grossing films made for less than $1 million.
I see. So he was able to make a low budget movie a big hit, from what I understand. Yes. Yeah. He made Jayne's last movie called Single Room Furnished. Can you tell us about that experience? How was making the film? How was the directing the film?
No, but she knew the film. I had done the play in
It's based on a play called La Ronde.
No, it wasn't called La Ronde. But I had done the play in Greenwich Village quite a time ago, and they wanted me to do, Jayne thought that she'd like to do one of the characters in the play. So we got a producer in L.A., and we made
Single Room Furnished.
Single Room Furnished. And that was the name of the play. And by the way, those plays really did very well that I did. They're in all the books about plays.
There are these books called Theater World that list the plays that were on Broadway and off-Broadway and major regional theaters. The books have been published from the 30s up through into, I don't know if they're still publishing them, but they were publishing them well into the 2000s. But another thing about the Jayne doing Single Room Furnished with Matt, there was a little bit of Matt came from theater, and there was a little bit of comparison of Matt was kind of like Jayne's Arthur Miller. What Arthur Miller was for Marilyn Monroe, Matt was for Jayne. Kind of a person with this classically trained background, trying to help lift Jayne into more more theatrical, more dramatically challenging roles, because she was having trouble getting jobs with studios because she kept getting pregnant. So she was looking for more dramatic type things to try to improve her standing.
Yeah, I know, and from what I know, the studio didn't give her the chance for serious roles, and Matt was the one who saw her as a serious actress, from what I know. Okay, I have questions about two plays, about Rabbit Habit and Champagne Complex. Can you tell us about those plays? How did you come up with the idea? How was making those plays for Jayne Mansfield?
Choose those plays. How did that come about? How was she in them?
Yeah, those were winter road shows. They did very well. She did very well wherever she went. You know, we played summer stock, and then we did a road show. When winter came, we went to the big theaters. Whereas during the summer, we went to the summer, summer stock.
Yeah, I see.
It was fantastic, believe me. You know, you can't judge the last 3 years of her life. But I did on Broadway. What was the name of the theater? The big theater. She was a smash hit, and what she was just a natural for theater. You know, you got to remember that she started her career on Broadway.
How was your life with her in Hollywood and in those circles? She was... how was she when you met her? How was her mind? What was her plans? How was your life?
It was crazy.
We didn't have a successful marriage, but I had a lot of respect for her because people never gave her the right attitude in their articles. They never, Jayne was a very bright, incredibly talented girl. We opened on Broadway in a musical, I can't remember the name, the big theater on 45th Street.
Bus Stop was the...
No, it wasn't Bus Stop.
Something else?
This is when we staged her nightclub act.
Oh, well, so that was a little later.
What?
That was later. The nightclub act came after the movies dried up.
Yeah.
But, they had moved for a while. They relocated from LA and they were living in a townhouse in New York City. And then they, there was always the struggle too with Mickey Hargitay, her husband before Matt.
Yeah.
And she had children with him. So there was always a lot of drama going on between that dynamic. And, and then she had become a heavy drug and alcohol user. And so it was a constant struggle of her. She was never sober. She was never, ever sober. So that comes with all the problems you would imagine. And Matt does not drink. He never drank or took drugs. So when you have somebody who's completely sober around someone who gets so smashed they pass out every night, and then they need uppers to get up in the morning, you're in this very sad, vicious cycle that just spiraled down, and Matt couldn't take it anymore and finally wanted a divorce from her. And then she took up with her divorce lawyer, who brought her even further down. And so that was a really sad, it's a very sad story that she got into this last part of her life. I'd say the last 6 years of her life, at least, were just kind of overshadowed by, the substance abuse issues, both pills and alcohol and And I mean, she did a lot of it. And that was, and Matt couldn't take that anymore. And he had a 2-year-old son. And he feared for her being, she would take the kids everywhere. And that's why his son was not in the car when Jayne had the accident. The 3 kids, Mickey Hargitay's kids, were in the car, but not Matt's son, because he wouldn't let her take it.
I have one final question. How do you see now, looking back at your life, what was your biggest achievement in your career and your life as a person?
Well, one time I was shooting craps in a casino. I had about 40,000 out on the table, and I threw a hard 6. And I gotta tell you, I paid off the final money. No, I'm only kidding you. They were all great. When I think about all the films, when I think about Andor, Andor was an incredible film.
It was scored by Ennio Morricone.
I mean, it was
scored by
it was, and the girl who played Andor,
Laureen
Landon, was phenomenal, and she got incredible reviews. And that picture never really, it should have picked her up and take her wherever. But if you look her up, she's done a lot of movies. But the point was, we shot it all, and that was the first of my successful films. It made a fortune. And when we were in, and 20 years ago, it was still being replayed in a lot of countries and on television.
Yeah, I got all my answers, and I'm very happy that I got very detailed answers about all the subject I asked. So I feel very honored that I was able to talk to him, and I'm very honored that you guys accepted this interview. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We appreciate the journalists who call and want to revisit his career.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you guys will have much longer life, and I'm very happy that he's doing a bit better now with his health.
Yes. Thank you very much, Andy. Nice meeting you over the phone.
Thank you so much, and wish all the best of luck to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this interview. I wish everyone a lovely day. Bye-bye.